Before we jump into this video, two things I want to tell you. First, thank you so much for your support and attendance on this channel dedicated to building healthy, happy, whole, and biblical relationships in your life and in the lives of others. Secondly, what you're about to watch is a clip from a previous podcast interview I did covering singleness and identity. Of course, this topic as well that you're about to watch. If you want to catch the full interview, don't forget to click the link in the description below to catch the full episode. And I can't wait to see you over there. You said I wasn't really going to date until I had the urge to marry, the desire to marry. And so you would say then that maybe dating isn't something that singles should involve in if they don't have a desire to be married. Would you suggest that?
I would suggest that. And I know that can be a hard thing for some to comprehend. Like I can't tell you the amount of times where I've had people come to me and be like, you gotta practice. You gotta get to know people, you gotta practice dating so you kind of get to know how to date. You gotta date others so then you can kind of vet through people and then know, now then what you're looking for. And it's like, man, you have friendships, don't you? You have people you go to church with, don't you? Like you have relationships all around you. How are you feeding into those relationships? How are you being relational with these people? And I think you can learn a lot from those relationships. And I feel like that's something that I really was intentional about doing, especially closer to that 2017, 2018 year mark, where I really started going to a new church and was around like-minded believers, peers, people who were around my age. And I was able to really develop these friendships that I still have today. And I'm so thankful for because I feel like that was a part of my development. And so, I don't think that is something that, you can't find like a scripture where it's like, do not date before you start desiring marriage. But I feel like there's a lot of scripture that would point to supporting the belief that like, let's not do this until we are prepared for marriage or preparing our hearts for marriage or ready for marriage or desiring it. So one of the things I mentioned real quick in the book is that like I believe that there is a goal and a purpose for dating. I believe that the purpose is to figure out this person is your spouse or not, and the goal is to glorify the Lord. And I feel like the difficulty is like when you are not dating with the purpose of getting married, then you tend to play around with the person that you're dating. You play with that person's heart. You play with this person's emotions. You're divulging all this stuff to this person, but you have no intention to marry him. Then you got this component to it where if you're not having the goal of glorifying the Lord in your dating relationship, what you end up doing is having premarital sex. You end up having sin in your relationship. I can guarantee that this stuff happens because the thing is that if you don't have the purpose or that goal, then what's fueling you dating? Oftentimes it's lust.
Interesting.
Oftentimes I believe it is lust. And so that's what we have to be careful with. That's kind of what I talked on in the book. And that's something that I would definitely suggest people to do for sure.
Yeah, no, I love that. And again, man, we'll definitely have the link in the description for you guys where you guys can pre-order this book. You can grab this book as it drops January 8th, right? January 8th. You guys need to be on the lookout for this. I think you guys will definitely get some kind of beneficial direction in singleness and adding some biblical background to it. Okay. One of the biggest things that we care about more than anything is moving biblically. And even though the scriptures may not talk about singleness directly, dating directly, those kinds of things, there is scripture that allows us to see the end goal of certain directions, certain desires like marriage, and also seeing the purposes of who we are as humans before we're ever having a relationship status. I really love that you said that, man. I think how it's always been shared with me and how I've been able to cultivate it in my own way of thinking is, hey, yeah, we don't date to just play around. We don't date just because it's the seasons, because it's the holidays, because it's cuddle weather. Like we don't really rock like that, right? Like there's intention behind everything we do. I mean, even to the point of, when you're going out and for Christians, and I know there's Christians that feel some differences on dating apps and things like that. But if you are on dating apps, like every swipe, every conversation, like you're asking, we're not just sitting here talking about favorite colors all day. We're actually talking about intentional questions and conversations to legitimately see, Like what is here? Does it make sense? And it's God's blessing even on this to move forward in such a fashion. We go back to Genesis and we see Adam and Eve, right? And that formulation where God brings Eve to Adam. This is where two become one. And then Jesus reiterates this in I believe it's the New Testament in the Gospels where he says, God created man and woman, and two become one. And what God puts together, no man can put asunder, right? And so seeing that, okay, marriage has to be the goal. If marriage is where the nuclear family is created, if marriage is where children are born from, and that is what populates the earth, that is what bears and multiplies fruit, that's the blessing that God has granted humanity, to know that the sexual compatibility, the sexuality, that all happens in marriage. So if we are going to date, I would agree, man. I think we do need to have marriage in the forefront of our minds. We need to be willing to say, okay, I am willing to go on the journey of marriage with somebody instead of just saying, nah, I'm just chilling. I'm just dating for the season. I don't have any real legitimate intentions because, like you said, we're wasting time. Yo, listen, I've got something amazing in the works for you available right now. If you're somebody who's looking to make this year your best year yet at diving into your faith and allowing it to become more applicable in your life. Never known where to start. You've always been confused. It feels overwhelming. Maybe you feel you don't have time. You don't know how to apply the Bible into your life. You have so many questions and thoughts as to what makes sense. How does it make sense? Don't worry, your boy's got you covered with the Faith Factory. Click the link down in the description below, and in this Google document, you will find a plethora of resources that are at your disposal for you to be able to grow in your faith. I'm talking Bible plans, content creators to follow and subscribe to that better will enrich your faith, resources, links, books, all of that good stuff, even worship playlists, something to jam out to as you progress through your day. I really think this can be the start of something good for you and the lives around you by locking in and making sure that this year is your best year spiritually, therefore making it your best year ever. Don't forget to click the link in the description and go be great.